desire. Danger, danger. High voltage. When we touch. When we kiss. Danger, danger. High voltage. When we touch. When we kiss. When we touch. Danger, danger. High voltage. When we touch. When we kiss. Danger, danger. High voltage. When we touch. When we kiss. When we touch. When we kiss.
Then, the mission is to overline the satellite Earth station at Mission. Here we've got a model of the target, and remember the target is a high-security agenda as it's the centre of all their communications in this area. Also remember, the target is deep behind enemy lines, and so can present a problem from all points of view. If you now look at the map, you'll see the target is indicated near this lightly wooded area, giving us a good approach using cross-country north-west. Okay, a good approach into the area of the target. Infiltration itself. Infiltration will be at night, flying 230 aircraft, flying at 25,000 kilometers.
5 miles up and 200 miles behind enemy lines. Oxygen will be needed for more than half the distance to Earth. Outside, the air temperature is -2. Carrying weapons in the pack weighing over 100 pounds, they're about to launch themselves into the darkness. Falling at 120 miles an hour, ice blurs their goggles.
World first social media ban came into effect. The crackdown was designed to keep kids offline, but half a year on, the results, well, they're mixed.
Yeah, while some say kids are spending more time outdoors and in their hobbies, others claim most teens are still using the banned platforms and can easily get around the restrictions. So we've decided to invite the student and principal we first spoke to back in December, just hours before the ban took place, to hear how they've found the past few months and whether any real change has occurred. Joining us now, Dr. Kate Hadwin, Principal of Pymble Ladies College, and Clara, Pymble Year 10 student. Good to have you with us again. Kate, first to you. Try and summarise, I guess, the last 6 months.
Well, I think, Shervo, this is the beginning of something bigger. So if we think about smoking in Australia, in the 70s there were 74% of adult men who smoked. Now 8.3% of our community smoke. And so if we think about the use of social media, we were never going to see huge widespread change off one initiative. It takes a whole lot of different initiatives. So there hasn't been a huge amount of change, I think, Clara, it's fair to say. But this is the beginning of something much bigger. And I love that as a community we've gone, here's a problem. We're really worried about our young people. The evidence is so clear. So we have to do something. We have to start somewhere.
Clara, when we last had you on, you didn't feel like the social media ban would work. How do you find that it's working amongst your friends?
I actually find that it hasn't worked, but I have noticed a slight change in my friends' behaviour towards social media apps. For example, one of my friends has actually chosen to delete Snapchat for a period of time and see how that'll influence her lifestyle and how that'll change her mentally or physically.
But are you still finding that we sort of knew from the outset, and even the government said, teenagers are going to work their way around this?
Yeah.
That's happened, right?
Yeah, it was fairly easy. I mean, all you had to do with mum's permission, of course, is just show her ID and then you're through. That's all you had to do.
And lots of people do it even without it.
You're right in the kind of the zone, I guess, because some of your friends too are becoming of age and are being able to access legally social media too. In terms of communication, how are you all communicating? Because that was one of your big worries, was that you didn't have phone numbers. Most of you communicated through Snapchat.
Yeah, well, considering the band didn't work like amazingly, we didn't really have to change a single thing. Sure, sometimes some of my friends would have to skip across to Instagram because only some of their apps would get banned and not all of them together. So Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, they're all still very heavily used, but some people would obviously have to switch if one app got banned for them.
Don't give too much away because obviously it's all secret, right? But what about the other platforms? Because we know when it all happened, Lemonade was one of the big ones that a lot of the kids were switching to. Are there secret platforms that you guys are using?
That you might have heard of from other people.
Well, I can't tell you guys that. But not that I'm aware of because none of my apps got banned, so I never had a reason to go out and find a new app. So to my knowledge, I don't really know much about those apps anyways.
Okay.
Kate, what are you finding with the younger years? Because I've got kids exactly the same ages as Clara, older and younger. What I found is with around Clara's age, there might be a nuance of a difference, right? That they may be viewing things differently, but the younger ones are the ones that aren't as savvy to get around them, and maybe it's them that will see a big difference. What are you finding with the younger years?
Absolutely that, Mon. We're finding exactly that. And we found that with our Wise Phone project as well, that starting early, and so in the junior school, for sure, I think these types of initiatives are really going to have a much bigger impact, because asking somebody who's Clara's age to change their behaviour when our whole system is set up to enable communication and to enable getting around like you found, Shervo, life is really difficult. But when you're much younger, then we can actually change our society and our culture with our young people as they get older. So I'm really hopeful for the future. I think this is just the start.
It's great perspective. Thank you so much for coming in. It's a government approach, it's a community approach at the same time. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, really.
Called First Look.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Raymond Biggs. My home is in Argyll in Western Scotland.
It's designed to reveal something of his character as well as his past. He is subjected to the same series of grueling marches as the other recruits.
Are there any questions now from the floor?
Yes, Raymond, if I told you that 3 August passed this selection, who would you like to know that to?
Well, that's a very awkward question, because I don't know which one you're all yet. But I've got 2 particular friends who I think make very good evidence officers.
Friends, those who are perhaps more military competent.
Well, I'd like to think that my friends were more military competent members of the candidates.
If you were on a 4-man patrol and the other 3 men refused to follow you, how would you handle it?
Well, I explained the task with them, and I'd reason with them as to why we'd reached the decision that we'd reached about how we were going to do it.
Each march during officer is followed by a test designed to discover if he can remain coherent and decisive while physically exhausted. It's his ability to think on his feet that is now under trial, and his coolness under pressure.
Also, this is a mountain operation, and that also is my chosen method of infiltration in the area of operations. That is my answer to question 1.
Let's go back to your main concern about Paris. Do you feel that there is a possibility of a high casualty in the airport, reducing the number of men carry out the task? How is it involved to recover your casualties? You don't know much about Paris. What do you think? Why don't you
The man who performs badly under pressure and the artificial surroundings of selection procedure will almost certain to be unable to cope in the trying conditions of the jungle. This environment brings out basic skills of navigation and self-reliance. A spell in the jungle almost.
The windswept landscapes of ancient Scotland bore witness to human occupation long before written records began to chronicle the deeds of kings and warriors. Archaeological excavations across the highlands and lowlands reveal a complex tapestry of peoples whose lives, beliefs and material culture laid the foundation for what would eventually become Scottish civilization. Among these early paintings, the Picts emerge as perhaps the most enigmatic, leaving behind a legacy carved in stone that continues to puzzle scholars today. The Pictish symbol stones scattered throughout Scotland represent one of Europe's most distinctive archaeological phenomena. These monuments, concentrated heavily in Aberdeenshire, Angus and Eastern Highlands, display an intricate system of symbols whose meanings remain largely undeciphered despite decades of scholarly investigation. The stones themselves fall into three broad categories. Class 1 stones bearing only symbols, Class 2 stones combining symbols with Christian crosses and figural scenes, and Class 3 stones featuring primarily Christian imagery with occasional Pictish elements. At Rhynie in Aberdeenshire, excavations have uncovered evidence of a major Pictish power centre dating to the 4th and 5th centuries AD, though the cultural tradition
knows that religious and cultural and whatever. Nobody's really paid much attention to studying how the representations of that cultural identity alter the manner in which we get emotion, we perceive, and by which we act. I'm interested in how our internal representations of our culture modulate our emotional expressions. You know, your brain basically is programmed to be socialized. That's what socialization is for. Obviously, socialization that instills cultural identity. And equally obviously, the process of socialization that leads to cultural identity must have some impact on the way you think, and obviously equally on the way that your mind functions and the way that your brain functions. And see, North American neuropsychologists have been loath to give any consideration to this sort of notion, to think that cultural transformations might have some direct impact on physiological function. But the Russians, by contrast, this has been a central tenet of their neuropsychological theories basically since day one. This is particularly true with regards to Alexander Luria and Vygotsky. Now, if you think about this, it's quite obvious if you think about it for a second with regards to something like the capacity to read silently. Now, it is the case that, well, this is a relatively new intelligence. Literacy is new intelligence, right? Most people were able to read 500 years ago, and only being 500 years and only for that advantage.
We've established that boys will be boys. I have to talk about something else. Okay, so this written magazine, and I am not but someone had some of the best stories, fables, things like that will lead you to being a a better person. It just will. We don't tend to pass things down and protect things. The bigger that we protect them, it's just a useless story. And in fact, it's those very stories that have kind of led me to kind of be doing this now. Which is unfortunate, but fortunate as well, because it's like, I'm taking a gamble right now because, well, people doing this type of thing in the past hasn't ended well. Now, if I was ignorant to that fact, it'd probably be one thing, and that'd be, I could just feel completely safe in speaking these words. But when speaking words against pages that are protected by ginormous institutions, well, there's a tendency that things can just go up in smoke, and you may be meeting your maker sooner than you might have thought. And the reason for this is, I think it's a bit of a folly of man. We, like I said in the previous video, we're all a little bit suspicious of new things. And I mean, if you're looking at a building that's obviously taken thousands of men, hundreds of years or whatever, countless amounts of energy to build, all kind of circling around to protect a book, you will protect that. And anyone kind of maybe seen to be criticising that book, I can see why they would be considered an enemy. I think one of the problems is that it's to do with distribution. The Bible did a really good job at distribution, thanks to Martin Luther. Originally the Catholic Church, and then Martin Luther, printing press, the Gutenberg Revolution, if you want to call it that, spread the word of God, the Christian word of God, throughout the world. Did a very, very good job at it. And so that's what led us to here, because we had stability. Not complete stability, but a form of stability. And no matter how good a speaker you were before these technologies, I mean, I could tell one person, maybe they'd listen, I could maybe tell a group, could maybe tell another group, but then at some point you're getting groups coming against other groups and throw in a whole bunch of passion and probably a whole bunch of alcohol. And those groups tend to end up killing each other. So this is not a group, this is me speaking to a device, a piece of glass in front of me, connected to a whole bunch of things I don't really understand. But it's enabling me to present using every asset I am ordained with by God to explain things free from the need to directly kind of raise awareness in the form of a book or something like that. Because a lot of people try to do this and ends up in all these things like we call them cults or offshoots of religions or different things. Really, we're just kind of going over the same things again. The personality of those individuals can sometimes end up offshoots forming that are in conflict, and that just seems silly to me again. I don't want to do double handling. I'm a businessman after all, that would be ridiculous. And so rather than trying to extend my interpretation of these things out in some type of whatever, I'm doing the kind of other thing. I'm just like, hey, I'm quietly addressing my content to individuals that happen to be in positions of power to do with the Bible, to do with Christianity, to do with maintaining that knowledge. And it may fall on deaf ears, it may go nowhere, it doesn't matter, but hopefully in this day and age, I have no intention really of raising an army, creating a cult or religion. I am quite looking forward to doing something else. This was something that started happening and I just kept going with it, and this is where I am today doing this. So yeah, but in a way, I've found, and obviously some people may take offence to the fact that I'm saying the oldest story in the Bible is just a picture of a dick. But I'm trying to use humour because humour in this situation brings my heart back into it. Because I've read history and what I'm doing right now, I'm not ignorant of that story. So I'm going to end on a note, and I'm just going to light a candle. No reason for it, just because it seems appropriate. They seem to light a candle. A light a candle. Making sure, no, I'm definitely not fireproof. So, if you do intend on burning me, having me stay, I'd say you'd be pretty successful in that. But I want to end on the note of, so it starts as a joke, fun, do take that very seriously. But let's look a bit further. We all, as men, well most of us, have one of these, and with my one of these, I've made for myself and the earth 3 individuals that I cherish more than life itself. And so it can be seen as a crude and crass thing, mind in the gutter. And that's probably what I was told by my teachers when I would draw this in school books.
These savages make
but for me personally, my
Lord,
personal one of these has brought me the most joy
never better
on this earth. In children, and obviously in the form of making children.
I knew then that you had
and so I can't help but think if this story has been passed down as the older story is a story about God, then perhaps the first story in the Bible. We can look past the obvious thing. Maybe this is God's way of saying that we are all His children. And just like I love my children and look after them and love them more than my life itself, I kind of feel the same may be true for the one we call God. By lots of different names. Lovely. So now we've established that boys will be boys. I have to talk about something else, okay?
friends at once. I wanna see all all my friends at once. I wanna see all my friends at once. I wanna see all my friends at once.
Apple computers, Apple spread devices around the world to place their singular image of one apple and a bite out of that. From the clear reality that there would have been two apples in some type of dystopian Terminator-style future where they were trying to remove the reproductive organs from humanity to raise some type of god creature from technology and computer system that would destroy the world and create nuclear war across the lands and destroy God's children. No, bullshit. 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 That could be true. Told us not to fucking eat the apple, not to eat the fruit. Remain on the tree. First bloody lesson. You're telling me that Apple, like Apple computers, Apple spread devices around the world to place. The biggest thorn in the foot of capitalism is the phenomenon that generations below keep emerging. They tend to quite often reject a lot of things from the generation past, and because of the time taken to build, scale to efficiently distribute on a global basis now, by the time the individuals from the older generation are finally getting ready to produce their dream and provide what they would have wanted when they were younger to the next generation. A really nice thing. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually beautiful. But by the time they reach full scale and full distribution, the next generation has a tendency to reject it. This is what's going to cause the next stock market crash, which is unfortunate. Hopefully, a lot of that technology and machinery and organisation and materials and resources can be repurposed, and perhaps now with the new technology of AI and things like that, and hopefully with better funding models, this is the big one, for small enterprise, that we can lower the size of the scale needed to efficiently achieve full distribution and full profitability with different enterprises. If this doesn't happen, we're going to be continuously funneled into this monocultural consumerist world, and that the risks of that are mass rejection, in which the generations emerging are just so like upset about the world they're forced to live in. Again, an unintended consequence from good intentions. The older generations have the best intentions, but as we move on and evolve with the new technologies, we're not going to have the same desire for the dreams and aspirations that our elders, our parents, grandparents wanted. And this is just, it's both beautiful and upsetting at the same time. And I actually think the greatest product that will be gleaned from the whole mess will be that they were trying to give us everything we ever want to, and in the process of that failing, they will inevitably give us everything that we want now, and that's beautiful, and they get to enjoy knowing that their foundations have prepared the world for this next step. The biggest thorn in the foot of capitalism is the phenomenon that, obviously, as a man, what I just presented in those last two videos was the most sexist thing. It's all about man, it's all about God's dick. Hoorah, we do, I can ride, I can, here we go. But whenever you feel that way, all you need to do is just turn everything upside down and realize that I came from a woman. Have you seen this woman in the story of Adam and Eve? My mother is a woman, lots of women everywhere, and women are my favourite thing on this earth, which has led me to lots of trouble. This is again a continuous story. And so in the interest of being open to both genders, both sexes, I just want to show you that the same thing applies. If you just turn that dick pic upside down, you'll see that there is two pieces of fruit, two ovaries, cup, dick, and this is orange juice, it's not lemon juice, but it's a great way to start the morning. Can't beat it. Now I know what you're thinking. Obviously, as a man, what I just presented in those last two videos was the most sexist thing I could ever do. It's all about man, it's all about God's dick. Hoorah, we do, I can ride, I can, here we go. Talk a little bit about this thing. This is a texter or a pen or a quill or a piece of charcoal or a chisel or anything really. It's something that us human beings, we use to make marks and write. It's hard to know whether we started doing this type of thing before or after we started doing this type of thing where we vocalise. I'd say the vocalisations came first, but I wasn't there. But anyway, nevertheless, the reason I choose to do videos is because although I can write, I've always, and I think it comes back from school, from primary school mainly, I wasn't the best at spelling. I don't know, some people call it dyslexia. I don't think it's quite, who knows? I don't like labels, as you may have noticed, but yeah, I did always, when I hear words, I will hear like every word, every version of the word, and with spelling, I kind of mix things around. When I was young, the biggest thing, one of the things I used to do is I would do capital letters in the wrong spot. Because it was something to do with the way I would see things. Like, what it did feel like at school was that I would learn things the hard way. That's what my father would always say. You have to learn it the hard way, and I did. I couldn't deal with being spoon-fed everything that I ever received from anyone else. I was always suspicious of, and so although generally most people being kind, well-intentioned people, I did find out the hard way that they were just trying to tell me something. But sometimes I would find, in that journey of coming full circle back to where they were just trying to show me and give me the answer, I would find out interesting things that I took along with me. And this is perhaps one of them. Now, one of the most known pieces of writing in at least my culture, ancestry, is the Holy Bible. Something I, again, very, very suspicious of for some reason. And it's actually only in the last year or two that I've dabbled in it, and then it's the same thing. I'm like, oh, this is the same stuff I've been hearing everywhere and figuring out the hard way. How nice is it someone wrote it down for me. But one thing I did notice is that it's not just like this is what you do, although there are sections that tell you exactly what to do, and they're pretty good sections and you should really listen to them. But the way that they tell you the lessons that you should be learning and following is by using stories. Now, the thing with using stories is it requires a lot of words. You may think that I use a lot of words, but you should read that Bible sometimes. There is a shitload of words. Because, well, we have to describe things, and when you have to describe things, you know what I mean? Whereas I can just go, this is a thing of salt. For me to describe, like, you know what I mean? You can hear the culture of glass, female shot. You can't even do this, you can't do anything like that. It's harder than you think to describe things using verbal things, let alone using the written word. That's why verbal communication, I prefer that if in combination with the video, well, that's just the bee's knees, isn't it? Now, why didn't they do that all those years ago? Well, they didn't have these devices. So it was verbally done like this, but person to person, and then they started writing it down, and they could send emissaries and things around the world, so they could spread this knowledge to everyone. So we all stopped killing each other and sacrificing each other, doing all these nasty things that had just happened, I think, just from kind of trial and error. Human beings were trying everything, everywhere, and interest of trying everything, it made more sense to have kind of a collection of like, hey, this is the stuff that worked. Now, the Bible begins
son of Peleus.
with a story I think we should all roughly know about a garden and two people, one person, Adam, and then Eve, the woman, and then a tree, and then a snake, and then fruit, and they're cast out from the garden. It's called the fall of man. I don't know how many paragraphs it is, but it's quite long. It's a wordy piece. It's about the beginning of the earth and about the beginning of man and all these things. And rather than using words this morning, I'm going to use this bit of paper and I'm going to just draw. So like what the things were in that story. So everyone uses the apple, including apple.
He's not my king.
Apple. Singular word for a singular piece of fruit known as the apple. There's also a snake. Now these are very rudimentary drawings because obviously I'm not very good at drawing, but nevertheless, and I don't have an apple, I've only got this lemon, but it's still fruit. I don't even think they actually say it's an apple, but everyone just kind of cottoned on with the fact that it was an apple because that was in the Middle East. Anyway, long story, but fruit I think is the important thing, the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. Now, the one thing, this is the thing, so we have the fruit, the tree, the snake, the garden, the two people. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't like sharing fruit. So one thing that I've kind of realised, actually just yesterday, is that there was probably 2 pieces of fruit in that garden on that tree of knowledge, good and evil. And the snake obviously offered up fruit. Now I haven't got a snake with me, but I wandered around my garden and found another piece of fruit. Because remember, the garden was filled with fruit. So in place of the snake, I thought I would just use this banana because it looks kind of like a snake. The few words I've used here. Now, obviously, I have the luxury of using props, of using fruit to make my point. Something that wasn't able to be used back when all those books were written with all the words on it. Now, the words that were used, the problem with them is that they can be misinterpreted, and that can start wars of its own. And well, I can't help but think that now, in this day and age, when we have, this technology at hand, well, we can just use these things. Still, of course, can read the books, interpret things, but we can start talking to each other and building our own resource. It explains better because, I mean, I just can't help but see the absolutely ridiculous truth stands before me right now that the story that we've been holding on to and passing on so long is, of course, as every young boy doodling on their textbooks would know, it was a picture of a dick, and in words, I just think, although shocking the amount of negative that's happened in this picture, I think it's the ultimate joke, really. He did tell you not to eat that fruit. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. On today's lesson,
videos that I created especially to give away as a gift. If you don't mind covering the postage, I would love to slip it into a package to you with some little extra goodies. Sometimes people ask, why? If this disc is free, do you need to pay shipping? I just can't cover that cost on top of the manufacturing of these discs themselves. But when I eventually learn how to tap into the quantum field and break the physical laws of space-time continuum and
ago, I never thought I would be at 23 on the verge of spontaneous combustion. Woe is me, but I guess that it comes with a territory, anomalous landscape of never-ending calamity. I need you to hear, I need you to see, but I am at, I can take an exploding seems like an infinite possibility. But to me, so pardon me while I burst into I've had enough of the world and its people's mindless case. So pardon me while I burn and rise above the flame. Pardon me, I'll never be the same. Now 2 days ago, I was having a look in a book and I saw a picture of a guy right up above his knee. I said I can relate, cause lately I've been thinking of combustication as a welcome vacation from the burdens of the planet Earth, gravity, hypocrisy, and the perils of being in free. But thinking so much differently. Pardon me while I burst into flames. I've had enough of the world and its people's mindless case. So pardon me while I burn and rise above the flame. Pardon me, I'll never be the same. Never be the same. Pardon me while I burst into flames. Pardon me, pardon me, pardon me. So pardon me while I burst into flames. I've had enough of the world and its people's mindless case. So pardon me while I burn and rise above the flame. Pardon me, I'll never be the same. Pardon me, never be the same. Yeah.
So before you was a tailor, was you in the army? Like an officer?
Not quite.
So where was you posted, Iraq or something?
Sorry, Eggsy. Classified.
But my dad saved your life, yeah?
The day your father died, I missed something. And if it weren't for his courage, my mistake would have cost the lives of every man present. So I owe you. Your father was a brave man. A good man. Having read your files, I think you'd be bitterly disappointed in the choices you've made. I'll talk to you about that. Huge IQ, great performance in science. And it all went tits up. Drugs. Crime. Never had a job. Things not just an idea. Doesn't explain why you gave up your hobby. First tried regional under-10 gymnastics 2 years in a row. Coach had you pegged as Olympic team material.
Yeah, well, when you go around someone like my stepdad, you pick up new hobbies pretty quick.
Of course, always someone else's fault. He was to blame for you quitting the Marines. You're halfway through training, doing brilliantly, but you gave up.
Because my mum went mental, banging on about losing me as well as my dad. Didn't want me being cannon fodder for snobs like you, judging people like me from your ivory towers with no thought about why we do what we do. We ain't got much choice, you get me? And if we was born with the same silver spoon up our arses, we'd do just as well as you. If not better. What the fuck are you doing here? You taking a piss?
More examples of young men who simply need a silver suppository.
Nah, there are exceptions. Come on.
Nonsense, we haven't finished that thing.
After you nicked his car, Dean says you're fair guy. You don't give a shit what your mum says.
Listen, boys. I've had a rather emotional day, so whatever your beef with Eggsy is, and I'm sure it's well-founded, I'd appreciate it enormously if you could just leave us in peace until I finish this lovely pint of Guinness.
You should get out of the way, Grandaddy. You'll get out of the way.
You joking, you should go.
Excuse me.
If you're looking for another rent boy, they're on the corner of Smith Street.
Manners maketh man. Do you know what that means? Then let me teach you a lesson. Are we going to stand around here all day, or are we going to fight? Sorry about that. Needed to let off a little steam. Heard yesterday a friend of mine died. He knew your father too, actually. Now, I do apologize, Eggsy. I shouldn't have done this in front of you.
No, please, I won't say nothing, I swear. If there's one thing I can do, it's keep my mouth shut.
You won't tell a soul.
Ask the feds, I've never grassed anyone up.
Is that a promise?
On my life.
Much appreciated, Eggsy. You're right about the snobs. But there, too, there are exceptions. Best of luck with everything.
There is a light, there is a fire, illuminated out of fate, or something better. I could care